Clear Media is outside the Public Regulation Commission with Robb Hirsch. And Robb, what's your organization?
The New Mexico Independent Power Producer Association is the organization that's intervening in this case, and I serve as the executive director of NMIPP. And NMIPP is a trade association for utility scale renewable energy development companies, as well as transmission providers and the like.
Your group had signed on to the Stipulation agreement shutting down 2 coal-fired power units at San Juan Generating Station and replacing that with more coal and nuclear power and a little bit of solar. And this week your group pulled out of that agreement. Can you explain why you pulled out?
Well, firstly, why we actually signed the stipulation to begin with, we felt like it moved the dial a little bit more forward when it came to ratepayer stranded cost sharing, adding 50 more megawatts of renewable energy on top of the 40 megawatts of solar that PNM said it would do an RFP for. And we hope that by moving the dial a little bit forward, the Commission could move it even more forward. But the main issue in signing the stipulation, we had a right to challenge the coal issues in this case, which we think are the most consequential. And we did. Even though we were a signatory of the STIP, our group and Western Resource Advocates submitted testimony on the coal reserved issue, and we very much challenged PNM's plan to procure more coal as replacement resource. We commend them for abandoning units 2 and 3, but we think there's a better way to diversify the electrical portfolio than replacing those coal assets with additional coal commitments. And we also, we supplied testimony against those issues, but since that time, which is November, increasing information has come out from the marketplace signaling concerns about investing in San Juan Generation Coal. And this has come from co-participants at San Juan Generation Station. Other utilities have stepped back from their commitments. And unfortunately, PNM has stepped up to pick up those commitments. And we think the trend is going in the wrong direction, and we pulled out of the stipulation because there was not a comprehensive solution to the coal concerns that we had that PNM was willing to agree to. And we believe that there needs to be a comprehensive solution. In fact, we have one. We suggest, and we think it's in the common interest of all the parties and the public, if we retired 3 units instead of 2 units. We could retire one of the oldest units, Unit 1, and I think we could have the cooperation of Tucson Electric, who is a co-owner of that, in addition to PNM. And in return for Tucson's retirement of Unit 1, they could pick up the 65 megawatts that the city of Farmington rejected at San Juan Unit 4, and they could help backstop other of the small utilities who may decide to step back. And that way, PNM wouldn't have to pick up that additional slack. And I know PNM would be retiring an additional unit, which is no small undertaking, but we would not have to invest in the SNCR technology or the balanced draft, and we could increasingly diversify our portfolio for much more additional renewables, perhaps some gas, because you want to complement renewables and gas to supplant the baseload coal that you're using. But we believe we could do that cost effectively with less risk and with more opportunity for New Mexico economic development and innovation. And so, we are proposing a third way forward, if you will, and we hope that the commissioners and the hearing examiner have the good sense to consider other options before we lock ourselves into a very challenging option, let's just put it that way, or an option that commits us to more coal than we want to be committed to at this stage.
So I have a couple questions in response to that if you have time.
Sure.
One is, I saw Commissioner Sandy Jones filed a request for PNM to analyze a 3-unit shutdown. I haven't seen PNM's response. Do you know what their response was?
Yeah, I did, and I was actually very concerned. I was actually very pleased that there was a bench request to assess 3-unit shutdown. As you know, or may know, PNM had done an assessment of 4-unit shutdown, and the numbers were actually much better than PNM initially led us to believe. And that was another reason why we stepped out of the stipulation. And in fact, the numbers were compelling so much that we really believe that there should be a 3-unit shutdown assessment, which hadn't been done before. And so Sandy Jones's bench request was very helpful in this regard. Unfortunately, it was very unspecific, the request. Besides the 3-unit shutdown and a couple other variables, PNM added their assumptions in their response, and assumptions including increasing the price of Palo Verde Nuclear Unit 3 from the stipulated price of 1,600 kilowatt hour price to $2,500 megawatt hour price, which is way above book value, and a price that the commission wouldn't go along with. And so we think we should do the 3-unit shutdown assessment with the stipulated Palo Verde nuclear power plant price. And we think PNM also had the assumption of including the SNCR technology and balanced draft cost for Unit 1, even though we'd be shutting it down in 2018 in conjunction with Units 2 and 3. That is something that we totally disagree with. We think EPA would rationally work with us and Tucson Electric to waive the cost of installing SNCR and balanced draft if we were going to retire that unit in conjunction with Units 2 and 3. So those are some examples of, we think, flawed assumptions, and we have proposed another run on Strategist for PNM's system that we believe that also specifies the assumptions we think are more responsible to use. And PNM proposed another combustion turbine gas plant in response to to fill up the gap of Unit 1 closure. And we think you could either have 220 megawatts of new solar and 150 megawatts of new wind and 30 megawatts of demand response, or you could have an 80 megawatt combined cycle gas plant sited near load, 100 megawatts of solar, 100 megawatts of wind, and 30 megawatts of demand response and or energy storage. And we think that is actually a cost-effective way to diversify the portfolio and replace Unit 1. We also think there should be conditions on Unit 4 that protect ratepayers. A flexible coal contract beyond 2022 that the Commission would have to approve, for example. A reasonable threshold of reliability performance for Unit 4, below which ratepayers wouldn't be on the hook, because the City of Farmington, in rejecting 65 megawatts, said the reliability performance of Unit 4 was very concerning, among many reasons that they pulled out of that commitment. Anyhow, we think we could have responsibility on the coal issues for Unit 4 going forward, but actually protect the ability for PNM not to become, or for the ratepayers not to have PNM become a coal miner in this case. They're planning to own 100% of the San Juan coal mine, and we think that's not appropriate. There should be a third-party owner, and one of the benefits of 3-unit closure, Unit 1, is you could actually stockpile coal up until 2018 as a bridge, and you could do also gas and or PPAs to fill in the blanks. But that way we wouldn't have to be a coal mining company, PNM. Tucson Electric didn't want to be a coal mining company. Why should we? We need to listen to the marketplace. We need to be careful and wise, and we need to increasingly diversify the portfolio. So we think this is actually a holistic answer that could really help us move forward in this state and come together rather than becoming divisive over these issues and going the wrong path.
So my other question might be divisive, but a lot of climate activists and environmentalists think that coal is deadly, pollutes the environment, and leads to climate change. So why not push for a 4-unit shutdown? Is that just unrealistic given the political dynamics, or would it be difficult to replace that much coal power in a short period of time?
Well, by the way, in our plan and in a 4-unit shutdown scenario, we do wish to support the San Juan coal mining jobs in terms of a retirement compensation. And likewise, low-income ratepayers who are going to be affected by the higher rates after 2018, whatever scenario we choose, there could be a fund that PNMR contributes to and ratepayers contribute to that we help leverage with state and federal resources as well as private donations so that we can ease the burden on the folks that are affected. And either whether we have 3-unit shutdown or 4-unit shutdown, we should do those things. And again, to help work towards a common solution. I'm not against 4-unit shutdown. I'm just understanding that we could have a transition that's responsible where we don't pick up more coal as replacement in the abandonment, and we actually transition to that opportunity because we'd have an off-ramp at 2022 to do just that. But I also don't want to be naive and say, oh yeah, we can just do 4-unit shutdown, at 2018 when there are major interests, beyond just PNM in having some coal here in New Mexico. So yeah. I'm just proposing a common solution that I think all parties could live with, but I respect people's views and rights to say that we should have no coal. I guess my one thing in balancing what I'm saying is PNM initially should have been commended, even though EPA pushed a lot of this, for agreeing to shut 2 units of coal from the 4 units that we had. That was a good thing. The main concern was replacing those unit retirements with additional coal commitments. That really is a concern and inappropriate. There should be no net new coal as a replacement resource. And so hopefully we can go beyond that and shut down 3 units, but also do so in a way that is good for ratepayers and is good even for PNM shareholders and is good for the public at large. I think environmentalists, I think the business community, I think the regulators, I think we all could actually salvage this case, which actually could fall apart. I mean, if another entity pulls out of San Juan Generating Station, the whole thing could come apart. So we're trying to put forward a path that actually keeps things together in a more responsible way.
So today is Thursday, January 22nd, and the 3-week hearing is scheduled to end tomorrow. Has the hearing examiner, Ashley Schanauer, ruled yet on your motion for this additional strategist run for the 3-unit shutdown?
No, he hasn't, and I'm really hopeful. I'm not naive because there's all kinds of conflicting interests in this case, but he's been very fair about things in his decisions, it seems. I hope that why should we lock ourselves in to a path that may not be the wisest, even most cost-effective path? There's serious contingent coal liabilities, and the marketplace is telling us this. We don't necessarily need to lock ourselves in. Yes, use this opportunity to assess other options that could actually help, benefit New Mexico. So I really hope he considers that.
Who are the parties that remain in the stipulation agreement? The Attorney General's office, PNM, and who else?
Well, as you know, the Renewable Energy Industry Association and NMIPP, and now today Western Resource Advocates have pulled out of the stipulation. The remaining parties that are in the stipulation, besides PNM, and is the PRC staff, is the Attorney General's office, and is NUMEAC, which represents the University of New Mexico, Intel, and the city of Albuquerque. Those are the principal parties in the stipulation.
If the hearing examiner and or the PRC do approve the stipulation agreement, do you expect it to be appealed to the Supreme Court?
Well, there's so many outstanding issues, including the coal supply agreement and the restructuring agreement, and we're being asked to make decisions before these issues are clear. And so it's putting New Mexico in quite a, or the commission in quite a, I think, a challenging predicament. And so we need to be very careful in how we proceed on this. And I wouldn't want to threaten that or anything else, because honestly, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't like legalistic solutions to things that are so important for our future. I think we need to actually come up with wise ways to solve these challenges beyond legal solutions, but we always should have legal recourse to address issues that are not being justly or thoughtfully handled.
It's been a very interesting case so far. Thanks for your time. I know you got to run, so
thanks for your coverage. Take good care.
Thank you,
right.
Rob.